Her film career spanned 30 years, yet she appeared in just 19 feature films. But each role radiates a different facet of her talent. That talent earned her 2 Academy Awards. Her life with one of the greatest actors of our time made her the center of attention for millions, even as she endured repeated illness. And today, so long after her death, she remains somehow elusive, never to be fully known or truly understood. But still we are enchanted by her and by the wonderful mix of beauty and art she brought to her films. And most of all, by her performance in perhaps the greatest woman's role ever on film, Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind. We knew her as Vivien.Leigh. When I was a kid growing up in Minnesota, I fell in love with the story Gone with the Wind, and of course with Scarlett O'Hara. It's a rare phenomenon when an actor can so completely possess a role that it becomes impossible to ever imagine anyone else playing that part. And Vivien.Leigh did this. To me, she represented everything being an actress could mean, and all the magic that it could bring. She said an aspect of her own personality showed in every part she played. Adoring Cynthia in Fire Over England, coquettish Elsa in A Yank at Oxford, loyal Myra in Waterloo Bridge, tempestuous Scarlett, and fragile, doomed Blanche. Vivien.Leigh was all of these. And because she was also such a fine actress of the stage as well as the screen, she was much, much more.
No one, I don't think, has ever been as beautiful. But yes, she had, as an actress, to fight against it, to be taken seriously. And I think she was never taken seriously enough because she was so beautiful.
She was obsessed with work, not particularly with being a star. I don't think she was thinking about that very much.
She had this appreciation for everything that life had to offer. Great intensity, as if she knew her life was going to be short and she was going to get it all in as well as she could in the few years that were going to be allotted to her.
Well, I don't care what you expect or what they think. I'm going to dance and dance. Tonight I wouldn't mind dancing with Abe Lincoln himself.
Vivien Mary was born to Gertrude Hartley in 1913 in India, where Ernest Hartley was a prosperous stockbroker. The Hartleys made the most of life in colonial India, and they doted on their only child. There were plenty of servants and always ample opportunity for pleasure. Ernest especially enjoyed amateur theater, and he was proud of 3-year-old Vivien's first performance when she announced to the audience that instead of singing Little Bo Peep, she intended to recite it. But the days with her fun-loving father did not last. Gertrude decided that what Vivien needed was a proper English education. When she was only 6, she became a boarder at the Sacred Heart Convent in Roehampton, near London. The Hartleys remained in Calcutta, thousands of miles away. But if Vivien pined for her parents, she learned to conceal it. Her love of fantasy was expressed in school plays, and she soon became one of the convent's most popular students. She was 15 when her parents returned to England to settle. Then it was Europe for more schooling and travel, with time out for fun. Vivien was discovering the world.
She was an accomplished linguist. She spoke French without an accent of any kind. She spoke Italian beautifully.
And she was very much from the English upper class, genteel school of behavior.
She fell in love with a German boy, and she told her mother she wanted to marry him. And her mother said, "That's idiotic, Vivien. You're only 17 years old." And she said, "But, Mommy, if you don't let me marry him, nobody else will ever ask me."
2 years later, Vivien married Leigh Holman. He was a barrister of independent means and 12 years her senior. Leigh Holman was a tolerant man, and he enjoyed Vivien's bright enthusiasms, even if they did center on her ambition to act. When she was accepted into the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, he saw it as a kind of finishing school. She was still only 19 when Suzanne was born. The birth was difficult and premature, and Vivien was happy to get back to the Royal Academy. Within months, an agent had found Vivien small film parts, nothing too demanding, but it was a start. Then she changed her name to Vivien, with an E, and took Leigh from her husband. She was now Vivien.Leigh.
I think I saw her in a play with Ivan Novello called The Happy Hypocrite at His Majesty's, in which she played the little girl and was very sweet.
At first, I believe they didn't think that she was tremendously talented. Her voice was a little bit thin.
But she looked rather muffin-faced, I thought, and very round-cheeked, and nothing like the beauty that she was later.
Do you love me more now that we're here together than you did last week when we weren't here together?
In 1935, Look Up and Laugh.
Why didn't you
It was
love
one
me
of
so much
Vivien's
last
first
week?
films. She was judged charming, pretty, but not much more was expected of her. Then she appeared in a stage production, The Mask of Virtue. She became an overnight sensation. Alexander Korda offered her a film contract, and she was seen by Laurence Olivier. Olivier was already well established, with a theatrical career ranging from Noel Coward to Shakespeare. When Vivien first saw him act, she knew immediately that she wanted to appear on stage with him. She also vowed that one day she would become his wife.
It was only natural that she would fall for him, and it was even more than natural that he would fall for her. It was a coupling made in heaven, I think, at that particular time.
Except for the fact that he was married to someone else, she was married to someone else. They each had at least one child when that happened, further complicating the situation. And so the love affair was indeed a troubled one.
Sweetheart.
My dearest, my darling.
In 1937, Fire Over England was their first film together. And it seemed to them to be a celebration of their own real feelings.
I'll come back.
And then they really were madly in love, both of them, so that it showed.
Queen sends you home in disgrace. I'll come with you and be disgraced too.
Dear and foolish.
Why foolish? You love me, don't you?